Hello, everyone, and welcome to Celebrate You Spotlight Interview. I am Lawana Bradford, co-founder and visionary of the Celebrate You Women Embracing Wellness community, where we are here to establish a platform to elevate women to the highest version of themselves so that they can impact not only their lives, but the lives of their family, the community, the nation, and the world. And I am so excited today to have a wonderful, dynamic influencer, global influencer on our platform, and that is Miss Sammy Blindell. Sammy is the founder of Brand Builders Club. Welcome, Sammy.
Hi, great to be here.
Great. Well, today we're going to do a little spin. Most of you know that what she's doing on the brand builders front. You know that she's a major influencer. Again, as I said, she's a global leader, global influencer, and I like to call her a change agent. But she's done something pretty radical and I think quite transformative, and that's developing a collaborative piece of work in her book called The Law of Brand Attraction. Now, Sammy, yes, there it is, folks.
I just feel so
available now for you.
I was so surprised when the book came. I was like, ooh, that cover looks really lovely. I don't usually stroke books, but this is a book that I'm definitely stroking.
Well, kudos to you. Well, one of the questions that I have, because I know a lot of people are doing collaborative books, and when you and I spoke earlier, you shared that this is a little bit different, and I love your title, The Law of Brand Attraction, which is a little bit of a play on the law of attraction. So can you just share briefly what makes this book a little bit different than other collaborative books that you can find on the market?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. I really wanted this book to, instead of it being a whole bunch of experts talking down at you, here, do this, do this, do this. I wanted to take 22 of my Brand Builders Club members from all over the world and just ask them to share a little sprinkle of magic of what are they doing in their small business that is really making the biggest difference. You know, out of all the hundreds of marketing strategies, of all the thousands of visibility strategies and activities you could do, what's the one thing that you've done in your business that's enabled you to create global and social impact? Because impact is the biggest thing for us.
Yes.
So, so the first thing was, and I love the fact that we've got some brilliant testimonials on Amazon from the book where people are saying, I'm so relieved. This is so refreshing that this is people just like me who are sharing what has worked for them. I was sick of experts telling me what to do, but now I'm hearing it from the horse's mouth of what's working right now that can help me in my business. And there's 22 different strategies in the book that do that. Plus, I've got a couple of friends that I invited from The Secret. So they were in the Law of Attraction, great world global phenomenon, The Secret. And I said, oh my God, if we're going to publish a book called The Law of Brand Attraction, I've got to get Marie and Bob involved. So I reached out to them. They said yes immediately. And so they have also given strategies in the book as well. I chose not to write a chapter in the book because I recognize that perfection is poverty. And I wanted to get this book out to as many entrepreneurs and business owners who were vulnerable and at risk at a really tough time in a global, pandemic where everybody was in flux, in a state of flux. And I thought, we've got such a magical environment and community at Brand Builders Club. Each and every one of them soared through Corona. They didn't go under. They didn't stress because we'd already created global income for all of the businesses that were part of the club. That's what the club's about. It's about going global and, minimizing your risk by doing business globally instead of just on your doorstep or exchanging your time for money. And something happens where you can't exchange your time for money. You've got no money, but you've got plenty of time. So we said, well, how can we take the things that we've been doing here, just sprinkle a little pinch of magic on all of those vulnerable and at-risk small business owners, and at the same time be able to get it out there quickly, prove how fast you can make an impact if you let go of the perfection, if you let go of the paralysis that holds you where you are. You can't move forward if you still haven't proofread that blog article or made that video or launched that podcast, right? You've got to get things out there quickly, because there's a big U-shaped hole in the universe right now. And there's millions of people around the world who need what you provide. They can't wait for you to do your hair and your makeup. They can't, you know, their life is in jeopardy, or their life isn't moving forward in the way it could unless you were in their life making that difference to them. And so
let me ask you something right there.
Yeah.
You said something that that I think is quite brilliant, in that you're emphasizing speed. And I always say the universe is speed, and the universe will bend to how quickly we choose to move and engage. And you're right. Today, with the pandemic, with the impact to the economic baseline, globally, there's just so many facets that are happening, and individuals need immediate answers to immediate impact. Now,
well, their life is they're suffering right now. They can't wait for you to be perfect.
Exactly. So we know everyone is seeking for solutions for themselves and to be relevant to what they're going through now. What do you think? Because you created this book, and this is, hats off to you. You did it in 7 days. So from you got this concept,
it had to be quick. It had to be quick. That's why I said I'm not going to be in it. I don't want you to be the perfectionist. I'm going to be your perfectionist. Right. You just give me what you've got, and I will make it shine. It'll be out there. Because otherwise you get paralysis, don't you?
Yes. So what do you think was the energy or the impetus that got these 22 authors to say, yes, I want to be a part of this? What is the central theme behind, beyond just being a sense of urgency and meeting a need? Because many people say we're meeting a need, but I think you have something very special, because again, 7 days is a huge feat and an amazing coordination effort of 22 people.
25 if you include the secret speakers. And
okay, so 25 with Bob Dole and
busy people, seriously busy change makers who were all going through their own stuff as well, thinking,
right.
how do I mean, they'd already pivoted. Fortunately, they had the strategies because of what we're doing in Brand Builders. But like one of our authors, Jennifer Louise, literally the day of lockdown, when we were told you cannot, that's it, it's no self-isolating, you are now forced to be isolated. She had a really successful hair salon with a lot of staff. She had to close her business, and she joined Brand Builders Club that day. And so she's one of the people that's in the book, and I invited her. She'd been in Brand Builders about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, when she said yes to this, because she said, I just feel so privileged that I have got a strong business now. Just within the first 30 days of her being in the Brand Builders Club, she created a brand new business, had over 1,000 new people in her community. She was making sales to a product that she hadn't even thought about 4 weeks before. So we totally changed the landscape of her thinking around how she could build a business, exchanging time for money in a hair salon, to now supporting many thousands of hair salons around the world, supporting them to have strong businesses to come back to. So, she really absolutely crushed it. And I said, your strategy that you've been using to fill your salon, you need to let everybody else know about that, because you don't have to be a salon to be able to use Instagram really, really well in the way you're using it. So she's given an Instagram strategy, for example. And it's a brilliant strategy. It's so good. Even I'm doing it now, and I wasn't doing that before. So each and every person, they gave like a real life solution to a real life problem. And, the thing that I love most about it is it really gives hope and inspiration to those who might be struggling, but also to those who may be thinking of starting a business as well. What I've done is, because I believe that business can be very lonely if you're trying to do it on your own. And if you are needing help, all you want to do is reach out to that person, don't you? And if you feel like you've got a connection with them, you just want to reach out. So I've also made sure that each and every one of the chapters in the book, the author that's written that chapter, their contact details are there. You can go straight to that person and say, I want you to be my mentor, or how can we connect, or I've got great clients for you, or you've got great clients, how can we collaborate? And so I just thought there's so much good stuff that can come out of it. And I really am a pay it forward type person. So I thought, how can we give back? Because that was the book, was to give back. But how can we also pay it forward? And so we found a children's charity where the kids, that school used to be their safe place before we went into lockdown, and then they didn't have that anymore. And there's a charity called Clear Sky Children's Charity in the UK who support vulnerable and at-risk children, and they deliver mental health training and all kinds of amazing stuff that releases these kids from the trauma that's been either happening around their life or it has happened to them. Because I figure, if we can support these young people to go through their life without the baggage that we've had holding us back, if only there'd have been something like that, available to us when we were kids, then maybe we'd have been doing other different things right now, and our confidence would be better and our resilience would be stronger. And so we wanted to pay it forward, put 100% of the proceeds to that charity, because the charity was struggling. It was like buckling under the weight of all of the kids that it was trying to support. And so all of the proceeds from the book go to that. So we've got vulnerable and at-risk business owners paying it forward to vulnerable and at-risk kids who could be our next generation of future entrepreneurs. I mean, who knows what world we're going to go back to? There's lots of businesses have closed. The adults now that we have, they're all fighting for those jobs. So what have the kids got to look forward to? So, we get to create that world, and I believe in a world of giving. And so if we can pay it forward to our next generation, who knows? They're going to be looking after us in a few years. They're going to be giving back to us. And the whole thing is just an infinite way of giving. So, yeah, this is a very special project, and the first of many.
And I think that's wonderful, because adverse childhood experiences are, if we don't take care of that population today, then it becomes a concern, a risk for the future, right? So I like that you are looking at how can you, as you said, deal with those that are currently in business, provide solutions and tools and resources and contacts for them to perhaps reinvent themselves, or ensure how can they reposition. I like to use the term repositioning to remain relevant.
Or re-engineer the business that they already have.
Yes, exactly. And then, as you said, you're taking, which is quite generous, this philanthropic component of you, and paying it forward to children that have a critical need. One of the questions that I do want to ask is, Bob Doyle in the foreword wrote a lot of beautiful things, but the one particular word that he used in describing the book, he said it helps with a mindset shift. So walk me through that, because again, people are thinking, all right, again, it's another book with stories, with how-tos, but he mentions the strategies and tools, but he paused with mindset. And I think that's really important for the listening audience to hear how this can help to shift, influence, impress, elevate your mindset to achieve that life that you want in yourself personally, and in your business.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Bob's probably referring to there is the fact that it's not just a book of empowerment. This isn't just empowering stories, although what I will say is I've been reading the book as a reader. I kind of left it about a month, 5 weeks before I actually went back and read it, because I was so close to it through the publishing process that even though I was reading the stories, it didn't really impact as much upon me as it has since I've been reading the book as just a reader who's had nothing to do with the book before. And, there are stories in there where I was crying reading these stories. And I know each and every one of these brand builders. I've supported them to grow their business from the inside out. So I thought I knew them. And then I'm reading these stories and I've got tears rolling down my face. And I'm like, wow, it was another level of resilience that I realized that these incredible people, because they are people just like you and I, and they've gone through so much, and what they've learned and then are paying forward is, they've not just got the story there, they've then got the strategy as well, so that you don't have to go through it. So I've read a lot of different empowerment type books, which are great for mindset, and you come away from the story feeling good. But that wasn't enough for me. I wanted everybody to come away from the story feeling good, but also having a strategy or a 10-step process or a 3-step this or a tick list or a cheat sheet or something. I wanted them to come away not only empowered that they could do this too, but have a tool that would help them to do it themselves. So that for me, I think, is one of the things Bob's referring to. I think the other thing that Bob's talking about there is that actually being, and I alluded to this earlier, being on your own in business can be extremely lonely, especially if things aren't going well. So to realize that these people have been through the most horrendous things in their life, and they've come out not only more resilient, more courageous, more brave to go and try new things, but they've also achieved some of the things that the people reading the book are going to want to achieve. So for them to be able to look at it and go, wow, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And that was a big thing around mindset. I remember I was at Bob's house a few years ago, and he has this virtual reality suite. And so there we are, and he's put the headset on me. He's like, where do you want to go? And I'm like, oh, he's giving me all these options. I'm saying, yeah, the ocean. I love the ocean. I live on a boat. I'm surrounded by water. I love water. But yeah, take me down to the ocean. So there I am. And I'm, having a whale of a time. Literally, there was this big whale that went past. And this big eye that comes and just stares at you. It was so real. It was amazing. You're kind of touching the flowers underneath the water, and they're all like opening. It was just phenomenal. So then he says, do you like roller coasters? I said, well, I used to as a kid. And my husband's going, yeah, she loves roller coasters. I'm going, hey, you're a bit too confident in that. And he's like, no. Like, say, put on a roller coaster. She'll be fine. And so he gets me to look. There's 3 options on this screen. And one's green, one's orange, one's red. And I look at the red one, and I'm like, oh my God, like in my head, I don't want that. I don't want that. And Bob is saying to me, choose the green one. And I'm going, I don't want that. Choose the green one. And I wasn't even looking at the green one. I was just so looking at this thing that I didn't want. Next thing, I didn't realize, but when you look at something, especially in the world of virtual reality, you look at it for 3 seconds or more, you've selected it. Next thing, I'm on this roller coaster of death is the only way I can describe it. It was just the worst thing in my life. I never want to go through that experience again. It was so real. And it was so real, in fact, that that they had to lay me down on the sofa and give me peppermint oil under my nose. Like I felt horrendous.
Wow.
And Bob comes up to me and he's like, Sammy, when I direct you on what to do, you should really do that. He said, when you focus on something, that's exactly what you get. He said, what you focused on there, you focused on it for more than 3 seconds, so it chose it. You do realize that's what happens in life as well, don't you? When you focus on something, whether good or bad, you've already put the request out to the universe. And it was a really good lesson for me. So in the book, I wanted to focus people on what they could do, not what they couldn't do. I wanted them to see what could be achieved, not focusing on, oh, well, I couldn't do that. But every single one of them, like, you can do this. You've got this. This is a simple strategy that someone just like you is actually using in their business to grow their impact, make a difference, and build income, and income on a global level, not just on a one-to-one level. So the mindset behind feeling like you can do it is very different to reading an expert, who's talking about it. These are real life people. So, and Bob knows most of the authors personally, because I run a big conference every year, and Bob was my MC at the conference last year. So most of the people in the book he got to meet personally. So it was a really good experience for him as well, because he got to see the behind the doors of, these facades that we put on and all the good stuff on social media. It's not always like that, is it?
No,
so
it's not.
To see behind the curtain, to kind of peek behind and go, crikey, like, I didn't realize you'd gone through that. Wow. And to be able to close the curtain and go, well, if you can do it, I can.
So your book takes our trials, tribulations, life experiences, and rather than spotlighting the lack, limitations, you're setting it in context, but you're focused on the opportunities and possibilities.
What you can attract by focusing on that strategy. Yeah, it was everything that you can do, and there is nothing in there that you can't do. Everything in that book is either low cost, no cost, or something that's really fast that you could get somebody else to do if you really wanted them to. But everything in there is all based on you focusing your time rather than your money on achieving a big result.
To our listening audience, we are with Sammy Blindell, founder of the Brand Builders Club, and we are talking about the law of brand attraction and how important mindset is to attract the lifestyle that you want in your life and or your business. And this book is a book of solutions, of tips, of resources, of collaborative opportunities. It is filled with opportunities and possibilities set in the context of real experiences of real people, just like me, just like you. And thank you so much, Sammy, for coming. I do want to ask you another question. I know that Brand Builders made the Amazon bestseller list, international bestseller list. In fact, I think for a moment you surpassed Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow.
It was wild. I mean, like we were overtaking books that they've got millions of dollars that they pay on their marketing budgets, and we were getting to number one in categories that are really difficult. There's some categories it's easy to get to number one. These were categories it's not easy to get to number one. We knocked Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich off number one. We knocked Brené Brown. We knocked her off of number one. There were some like Brendan Burchard. We were just like, what? We just did what? So we were like furiously taking screenshots of all these places that we were getting to number one. But and it's nice to be able to say you've got a number one bestseller. But what number one really means to me is that more visibility means more sales, which means more kids get help, which means more vulnerable business owners get the support that they need. I love the fact that people are buying the book and they're buying one for themselves and they're buying one to give to a friend business owner. And I think, wow, what a beautiful thing to do for somebody else, because you never know who's struggling. And again, like on social media, they might look like they've got the best business, the best life, they've got it all going for them. And yet really what's really happening for them is something that you never see on the outside. Because, we can have a mask, can't we? We're all good at wearing masks when things aren't going so well. And you want to be that strong person for the family. You want to be that strong person for everybody else and all those other business owners out there. But really, what about you? And so yeah, I've just loved seeing the pay it forward movement side of things happening. And even in my daughter, one of my daughters, she's 18, and she's in this really weird time right now because she was going off to university. We don't know if universities are opening still this year, and you've got people, all these kids that are the same sort of age as Abby. They're in this in-between world, and I feel really sorry for them, really, because it's kind of unfinished business, isn't it? They don't know if they're going here. This hasn't finished yet, and there's all this stuff going on. And so, it was another thing for me to be able to really prove to our next generation that actually, if we focus on serving rather than selling, what happens is you make sales anyway. I've been interviewing all of the authors on my Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. And when I interviewed Marie Diamond from The Secret, one of the things that she said, which I loved so much, and her story in the book is just amazing. She's like the grand finale in the book. And she was saying on the interview, she said, what I didn't realize, Sammy, was that me focusing on this impact, she said, I've got this impact number of 550 million people, right? I'm on a mission to impact on 550 million people. That's not a number I got from my head. That was a download that was given to her. And she's done everything in her life since she was, I think, 16 years old and got that message. That's what her whole life has been built around. And she said, what I didn't realize was that actually with that amount of impact comes the income. She hadn't thought about the income at all. So she ended up with a great problem to have, where she's got all this money coming in. Well, she didn't think about the money, so she didn't know what to do with the money. And there were all these different problems and things that then came about as a result of that. So, don't think that, when you get to the top, that's it. And, it's all going to be amazing, because it just comes with other challenges. But it's good for you to know what those challenges are going to be, especially as a small business owner, because you can prepare for them. You can say, oh, well, I don't need to go through that challenge, that pain, or that problem, because I've just heard her say that. Okay, I'm going to put these things in my business and make sure it never happens to me. So, you know, the book is the positive side of things, the interviews where I go really in depth and go, all right, what really happened? What didn't you write in the book? What was it that was behind that? Why did you choose that chapter? And then what happened? So
it's like the rest of the story.
Yeah. Make sure you watch the interviews, because they're brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I want to remind our listeners that 100% of the proceeds go to the Clear Sky Children's Charity. And this is a charity that is focused on your at-risk children populations. And so, again, 100% of the proceeds. This is just a very generous and loving project that, again, is designed to help one group at risk, but then also it's there to help you to be able to be empowered so that you can do more, you can give more. One of the things that I want to also ask you is, you mentioned about small businesses. Is this only for that solopreneur, or can your business of your small to medium and or even large corporations benefit from these stories?
Completely. Absolutely. I think anybody actually can be inspired by these stories. One of my boat neighbors, she doesn't even have a business, and she read all the stories and came away and was like, I can't believe that people have gone through that and now have built what they've built. I mean, it's just so inspiring. So even just as a storybook for people, it would be inspiring. But if you're a business owner, it doesn't matter what type of business owner you are, whether you're the CEO of a major corporation and you want to get your feet back on the ground to find out what's actually happening in the world right now. What do people want? What are they looking for? You know, especially as I mentioned with Jennifer Louise's strategy earlier, her strategy in the book is that the clue is in the Sue, because her ideal customer is Sue. She's called Sue, and she has a certain lifestyle, even down to the music she listens to the clothes she wears, to the food she eats, to the books that she reads. Like, you know, she knows everything about her ideal customer. And so one of the things that I think big corporates and business owners, as they get bigger, one of the things they forget to do is just check in with who's their Sue. And there's you know, so even just little strategies like that can make an enormous difference. Brigitta, she's the laughter liberator. No matter what size your business is, the amount of joy that you're experiencing in your business will determine the amount of joy your customers are experiencing of you. And, you know, business can get very serious. Doesn't matter what size your business is. If your business becomes too serious, and obviously if you're a funeral director, you're going to need to be, but in most businesses, that, you know, people want to really experience the energy. They want to experience the spirit of your business. And if there's no joy in that, then there's going to be no joy for the person on the other end of it. I mean, there are literally every strategy. Martin Ramsden, Garth, what he went through with his business partner, just stealing all of his business, and him giving this amazing strategy that no matter what size of business you are, here's how to break it down. If you want to do better, here's exactly what to do. If everything has fallen through to, you know, and the rug's been pulled out of your business, here's what to do. So there's strategies, no matter where you're at, whether you're hugely successful and you want to go to the next level, or you're really not sure where to start, or you've got a business that's really seriously in trouble. There's every strategy in there that will pull you out of it, that will take you to the next level. That's what I just love about it, because most of the business owners in that book, they've been in business a good 10, 12 years.
That's
so
great.
You're not looking at or reading from, you know, brand new business owners. Even though Jennifer Louise, she started her business and wrote a chapter in the book only a month after she'd been in Brand Builders, she's already got a very established, high earning income coming through the salon that she's been running for a long time. And that wasn't her first business either. So these people are people that have done a lot of amazing things. They've got a lot of experience. And why would you want to go and learn the hard way when it's all laid out in there?
Yes, one of the life lessons my mother told me when I graduated from high school was learn from the mistakes of others, because you can't live long enough to make them all yourself. So here's a book, solutions. Again, I keep saying tips, tools, resources. I encourage everyone, pick up this book no matter where you are in business. And I applaud the fact that you have packaged this book with seasoned business owners. So we know they've gone through the ebbs and flows of business growth, the expansion, the contraction. If you've been in business 5+ years, you've experienced some hurdles in your life. And I think that even builds to the credibility of these authors who've chosen to be very transparent in their messages, but going beyond that and saying, I'm going to tell you what has worked for me, some proven successes that if you choose to implement, it can work for you. And if you have any questions, you've provided their contact information.
Yeah, you can just
so the reader can reach out to them directly. I mean, how great is that? You can't get any better than that, right?
I don't think so. But what's great is that everybody is so accessible, and that's what we wanted to make ourselves. We wanted to make ourselves accessible to people who, might just want to reach out personally. Sometimes you don't want to do everything publicly. Sometimes you're going through something, you want to reach out to that person and say, hey, like what you've just been through, you've just spoken to my life. That's exactly what's going on for me. Would you be willing to, have a 15-minute call with me to just give me some advice and help me on this next step of my journey? And that's why we've done what we've done, because we are at a level of success where we can give back. And if you can, you must.
Yes. Well, we are out of time, but before we go, I want to ask you 2 questions. Number 1, how can everyone get their hands on this book? And number 2, what lasting words would you like to leave the listening audience?
Well, I guess this is the lasting words, isn't it? If you go to, don't know if this is backwards, but if you go to thelawofbrandattraction.com, so thelawofbrandattraction.com, you can not only get the book, and I mean, you can go straight to Amazon, but if you go to that web address, then you'll get bonuses as well. So one of those bonuses is to come and join us in a community that we as authors, so every author in the book, they're in the group. And if anyone's got questions, they can come into the group and they can ask those questions in a way that everybody also gets the answer at the same time. So it's a good place for going and networking with people at a higher level. The other thing that I'd like to leave with the audience today is really to keep being that one drop, right? We are here to make an impact on the world in some way, whether you've recognized that yet, whether you're feeling the calling and you're listening to it. Maybe you're listening and haven't taken action yet, or maybe you've taken action and now you want your next steps. You've just got to be that drop you want to see in the world. And keep going, just keep going, because there are people out there right now who need what you provide, who need you in their life, and they're waiting for you to be that drop so that you can create the ripple that gives them what they need in their life. So don't hold back. Let go of perfection. Remember, perfection is poverty. And if you can, you must. Just get out there and do it. And by serving, you'll start selling. And by creating impact, you'll create income. And if you're not in a position yet to do that, you will be very soon. If you follow the strategies in this book, you will be.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sammy. I've been listening to Sammy Blindell, founder of Brand Builders Club and the editor, collaborator of The Law of Brand Attraction, newly released book. Everyone, please go out and get this book if you want to be inspired, encouraged, motivated, elevated to the next level in your life or in your business. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. This is, again, a book that is filled with experts in their own industries with proven solutions based upon their years of experience. You're not dealing with novices, you're dealing with seasoned professionals. And I applaud Sammy for the work that she's doing, the gift back that she's giving to serve at-risk children with the Clear Sky Children's Charity, also how she's paying it forward to the next generation of entrepreneurs. So such a giving heart, giving spirit. And as she said, being that drop, choose to be the change that you want to be in the world. I am Lawana Bradford, CEO of the Bradford Group, also founder of Celebrate You Women Embracing Wellness. We will see you next time on Celebrate You Spotlight Interviews. Sammy, thank you again so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.